Okay, so today we're tying a fly called a mirrored minnow. It's an old Western New York pattern developed by Jim Guida, Buffalo area, for steelhead trout bass. It kind of like a zonker. This was done well before we had uh, sparkle chenilles, polar chenille. Um, so we're going to do the body with the dubbing loop. Um, let's see, red A-dot thread. And what I'm going to do is start this. Okay, first of all, traditional salmon hook. We do these in twos. I've done them down to 10, but I'll do it on a straight-eyed hook. These are Tiemco 7999s, and we have Daiichi 2 441s. This is a standard wire salmon hook. I do most of mine in 6. So we're going to do a 6. So I'm going to start my red 6/0 thread behind the eye. And then on the salmon hook, I'm going to kind of taper down that transition area and spiral to the back to about the hook point, maybe a little bit past. So like a zonker or white deck, we're going to tie in a back of zonker strips. Today we're doing olive. I got dark olive, light olive. I'll do the light olive. I do these in olive, gray. So if you're doing an emerald shiner, you want olive or gray. I mean, there's emerald shiners that have gray backs, emerald shiners have green or olive backs, you know. So either one works if you're trying to imitate a shiner. I also do the smaller ones in white and tan. So I've got my zonker strip. First thing, I'm going to take a look, and like that's got a little twist in it, so I'm going to clip that out. And I got a nice looking straight piece, and I'm going to clip like 2 to 3 inches. So I need a little bit of a tail, but I also need a little handle here. So, you know, I could tie this off, lift it, and clip it. So I'm going to separate the fur so I see the hide and clip. So I do that because if I just clip straight across, my next piece is going to be sheared. So, you know, you're kind of preparing for your next fly. The other thing I do on the back, see this is blunt, and you kind of have a blunt tail. So I will actually cut a little arrow point on the back, like yo, and it gives a little bit of a taper. I'm actually I still want a little less fur on that end. There we go. It tapers out the tail a little better. So, I'm going to move this out of the way for now when I show you guys something. So how long do we tail this? Well, with zonker strips, if you ever fish flies with a long piece of zonker strip on the end, you notice as you fish on it, it tends to foul around the hook point, the hook bend. So one rule is when you do the tailing, don't make it larger than the hook gap. If it's shorter, then it won't, you know, if it does go under on a cast or as it's drifting, you know, it won't get caught. It'll come back up. So that's what I do. The length I'm going to use is about the length of the hook gap. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a base. Then bring that into the middle of that base. And about there. So right there is where I want it. Now I'm going to pull away the fur until I see the hide. If I just tied over the top of this, it's just going to bunch this all down and it's going to flare and, you know, so, and it actually ties in more securely if you move that hair or fur out of the way, make that little V right there, right where I want to tie it. And now I'm going to take a loose wrap, 2 loose wraps. Now what I want to do with this hide is I want to get it squeezed along the side of the hook. If I start wrapping right there, this side's going to lift up on the edge, this side's going to go down. So I want to try to squeeze this. That's why I did the loose wraps too, so I can kind of maneuver a little bit. That looks good there. That's good. Now I'm going to pull. Make a couple more wraps, pull, lift it up, jam a couple wraps against the hide, and it's going to be out of the way. It's a little easier to handle if you wet this. Another thing, if this gets in your way as in your next steps, it keeps flipping over, you could take maybe a pair of hackle pliers, little clothespin, spring-loaded tweezers, and kind of clamp that out of the way. Because sometimes, you know, as you're tying, this gets in your way. So, got this. Check out, make sure I'm good on this side. Looks good. So now we're going to do the body. The body is going to be any type of Flashaboo dubbing. So we've got this Ice Dubbing Works. This is Semperfli Hairline. Hairline makes Ice Dub. It's pretty much the same thing. You know, it's fine. What I used to use is Light Bright. It's harder to find now. It's a little more dull, not as shiny. So if you want to, you know, you don't want it as bright, you know, go try to find some Light Bright. And if you find it, tell me, because I'm almost out. But we'll use well, I think the Semperfli is a little brighter. We'll use that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of prepare my materials before I start tying everything in. So with this, what I want to do is kind of pull some out like a pinch, even out the fibers, pull, so you're grabbing it by the tip, and squeeze here and pull out so the fibers stay aligned. You don't have like a jumbled mess. You want these fibers aligned. I'll put that down, and I'll do that another time, one more. That was just kind of a small hand pinch there. So, and here we go. And I'll kind of take this. I see we got some long ends here, so I'll kind of hand stack this. And the Semperfli stuff's a little long. So what I'm going to do now, snip it in half. Next, I'm going to lay this out on the table with 2 clumps. I'm going to spread it out, lay it down. Got that one to my left. I'm going to pull this out. And what we're trying to do is make about a 3-inch long section in our dubbing loop. So I think I'm probably going to need maybe just a little more. I'll grab twice what I need. I should actually tie this short because sometimes you end up short, and I could show you how to get through that. You know, when you do a dubbing loop, and instead of having to create a whole new dubbing loop just to do a little section. But next is our dubbing loop. So you guys have dubbing tools over here. I'm not a fan of those. You know, I like the whirl type. You know, there's one that's a small weight with the wires on. I like that because you give it one spin and it takes off. I've had this for years. It came out like looking 2 antennas. I kind of custom bent these in like this. I kind of like that better. So what we're going to do is, I know I want 3-inch body, and I'm going to have some extra here. Just I pre-wind this, and then a handle. So I'll pull out about yay much, and I'll do like a wrap here. Then I'll go behind it, and I've got my loop, and I'm going to advance the thread back to where I want my body to stop, which is about in this area right there. You know, I still have a throat and a head to tie. I got to bring the rabbit down. So now I'm going to take that first batch, and I've already got it kind of spread out. Whoop, no, I'm ahead of myself. Let's get this pre-wound. All right, so what I like to, this is what I like about this, and it stays here. So now I'm going to pre-wind this. I'm going to get the material in here. You know, a little spit. I don't want to use dubbing wax because it'll melt, it'll mat down the fibers. A little spit works. I'll get this clump in, and I'm just going to, I've got this held, I'm just going to kind of let go of this a little bit. See how that kind of just wound a little bit? And now I can still move this around, and I'm going to try to spread it. I don't want it real dense, because then, you know, you get dense spots, it's too packed in one wrap and then thin in the next. If it's a little thin, you could add another wrap. If it's too thick, you can't undo the thickness. So I got that. That looks good. I'll let go of the rest of that, and I'll do it, but I'm not going to get it too tight yet. And now what I'm doing is pulling out these fibers that got trapped down. There we go. So I really like this dubbing loop tool, except for when I go to apply the turns.
Now, do this real quick. Move your tool right here forward. There you go. Can everybody see that now? Hold it straight up.
Right here?
Yep. Can you see how he's got that looped in?
So they make there's so many different types of, I think we posted one video of Charlie Craven going through dubbing loop tools and doing dubbing loops. I mean, there's a lot of different ones. There's some neat ones. So I've got that like I want it. So now what I'm going to do is, I could take my tool, this is rotary, so I could wrap this way, and I got this sent away. So I'll grab these little clippy things, and I'll do maybe, get back there, 2 wraps around it, and cut this off. So now I have this. So the problem with one of these is, it came off. Here. Get back on there. There we go. Is they got sharp edges. And if I'm going to wrap, I'm probably going to break the thread. So I actually just use my fingers, and just in case I lose grip, I've got this here. And now what I'm going to do is my first wrap's going to be right up against the rabbit, as far back as I can make it. Now I'm going to proceed forward And with each wrap, I'm going to pull these rearward. So I'm not trapping the fibers forward. So we're not doing real tight, close wraps. There could be some spacing in between the wraps. If we try to jam it on too much, we just put on too much of this tinsel. So I'm just going to pull forward, you know, just helping it out. I mean, it is a quick tie. I mean, normally I would have, like, I'd be on my second fly right now, but I've got to explain everything. So it really is a quick tie. The long part's creating this body. But it comes out so much better than any other kind of, you know, chenille flash, Estaz, you know. Especially because it's so fine, it does have movement. So right about there. Now I'm gonna actually leave this a turn short so I could show you if you do happen to create a dubbing loop that's a little too short. Well, you're near the head. Get back there. There. Clip this off. So if you're a little short, usually you got some waste down here. Oh, here's the other thing I do. When I do deer hair work or anything that's going to be all over the house, I use a pillowcase on my lap. And then when I'm done tying, I go outside and I shake it out. You know, otherwise you're going to look like a Christmas tree all day doing these. I mean, you're going to have glitter on you for I don't know how long, but so now I got some extra there. There's a couple ways we could fill that in. Is I could sit here and I could just spin some on here and pick it out, which works, you know. Boom, and then like that. Or I could take a little piece, because you do enough dubbing loops, you know, you find out once in a while you run short of the fly. On this one, I could actually just take some like that, put it on here, do a wrap, spread it around the hook, fold it back, like that, you know. So that's kind of how you tie yourself out of trouble. So now I'm going to take this and I'm pulling everything out to the side. That piece out of there. And like we're doing an elk hair caddis or something, you know, we trim the top. But here we just want to divide the top and get it off to the sides. Like that. Okay, so we can put our rabbit on now, but it's got a throat. So we got some strung white marabou. You want some decent marabou with nice fine tips on it. Compliments of Fish USA here. And I'll take this. Now I don't want a big, thick, heavy throat, you know, it's a little sparse. I'm gonna grab these tips, kind of get this out of the way. This is easier to tie in. And I can put it this way so you can see. I'm going to put a throat that reaches back about to the hook point. If it's a little farther, that's fine. If it's short, that's fine. But it gives a little sparse white throat on here. It's kind of the belly of the fly. Take a nice loose wrap right about here. About there. And I want to get that kind of spread out. There we go. Clip off the butts. Now we've got this spread out. Oh, I forgot. There's one more thing I wanted to do here. Here, I'll just, since that didn't take too long, I'll grab another piece. So we got some long fibers here. Now you could pre-cut everything to length and put in your loop, but that's kind of frustrating sometimes. So what I'm going to do, I want to trim this body. Since I got everything folded down, I bring everything straight down, perpendicular to the hook. And then I can go straight across, but where's my other scissors? Here we go. I like my curved ones. I like to taper the body a little bit. You know, it's a reverse taper, you know, long at the front, and then I'll just kind of do that, and you get more dubbing material. Now I'll bring this over to the top, or nope, tie in a tip. That looks good. Bring this over the top. Let's see, I'm going to prepare the tie-in point by, like we did with the tail, is picking up most of the fur, you know, giving us a slight stretch. Make sure everything's right over the top. Right there, looks good. We'll pull and tighten that. Again, now I'm going to stretch this out a little bit so I can clip that. It'll retract a little. And we're about done. You know, now we're going to form a head. And now's the time to put eyes on. So originally called for stick-on eyes with epoxy, you know, stick on like doll eyes or whatever. You know, you always end up losing them. I mean, eventually one falls off or breaks. What I do with this is I use tabbed eyes. Getting a little harder to find, but Bear's Den fly tying company, Bear's Den usually has a good selection. They're actually starting to come back. They've got actually looks like doll eyes on tabs now. What's nice about it is that they don't fall off. They don't add bulk or weight either. But so what I got here is we got 1/8 inch and 3/16. So, you know, depending on the size of the fly you're going to use or how tall it is. You know, if this was a little bigger, I'd use these 3/16. But the 3/16 is going to take my eye above and below the body. So I'm going to put these 1/8 inch on. So these are nice because you just kind of stick them on. There's an adhesive on one side. Get that right where I want it. Take a couple wraps. Grab the next one. Put that. Get it right where you want it. Right there. Are they even? No. Yeah. It's got to come up a little more. Okay. So I'm going to, boom, and my eyes are on, and they're not going to come off. Now I'm going to, one thing, if the tabs reach the end of the tie-in point is great because that's just filler for the, when you do your head. These are a little long, so I'm gonna fan that out a little bit and snip it. And now all we're gonna do is, I'll try to flatten this thread a little bit, is form a head. Now this is the fun part, right? Got it. I usually put a couple of, what is, I wish if my hands weren't as bad, I could hand whip this, but calluses. Now you want to glue the head, or you can do a Bob Johnson finish head. So I got some fiber sticking out of there. And this is uni thread. And I fuse the head. Let it fuse together. And that's it.
Looks beautiful.
Well, thank you. It is a good fly. You know, and a couple of stragglers I can snip off, but I usually just let, you know, unless they're super long, like this one, I let it hang. And it does have like a, it has a hollow, I mean, this will streamline back in the water, but it gives it a little bit of hollow effect in between the white throat and the silver body. You know, mostly because we didn't overdub it. You know, this is why I said don't like jam your wraps on there and force them back. You know, you can, you know, touching or leave a little space, you know, and get it spread out. But that's it, and thank you.
Where's those eyes?